Welcome to the Statler Financial Radio Show with Philip Statler. Have a question for the show or need assistance with your retirement plan? Give Philip a call today. 863-285-3815. 863-285-3815.
Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show. Jen Rezac here alongside Philip Statler. He is with Statler Financial Services. 4 pillars. You can picture them holding up structures like the Parthenon or the Capitol Building or the U.S. Supreme Court. You see pillars everywhere. They're a classic feature of architecture, especially down in the South. You knock one out and the whole structure is in danger of toppling. And the same can be true for your retirement. That is our topic today. Before we get into it, though, with everything that's been going on, we know a lot of you have questions about the market, how your money's doing. Today, you are going to hear a lot about Philip's financial x-ray report and how that could help you get some answers. We will probably answer some of your questions here on the show today, but you can always reach out to 863-285-3815 to take advantage of that financial x-ray report today. That's 863-285-3815. And with that, Philip, happy to sit down with you once again today. And is that a good visual for you when you think about those pillars on the front of a building or one of those famous structures?
Yeah, it is. I mean, let's face it, that's especially like courthouses and those type of places. You see all those pillars there. I know in our courthouse here, you go inside and there's kind of a rotunda, but there's also pillars that are kind of holding that up. So yeah, it's definitely a vision of strength, right? When you see all those pillars there.
Yes, and it's just a visual that we want you to carry throughout the show today. So whatever it is, if it is the courthouse or it is one of those big national, maybe like the Lincoln Memorial type of structures that has all of these pillars, have that in your mind as we have this conversation today. And Philip, if you were to take one of those buildings and label those pillars, as we talk about putting together a retirement plan, how would you label those when it comes to putting together a retirement plan? What would those pillars be?
So if I had the building of retirement and said, okay, look, we've got to put those pillars in here, the first one I would have is protection. So we need protection within our retirement portfolios, within our retirement life. We're going to need some protection from a lot of different things that we'll talk about a little later, but that's an area that we need is some protection. The second pillar is growth. If we don't have growth potential within our retirement portfolio, then it could easily leave us stranded without an income, without a portfolio, and we still have some life to go. And that's not a good thing to have happen. The third kind of pillar that needs to be there is income. Everybody needs income in retirement. We can't live without income coming in of some style, sort, whatever it is. We need income coming in. And so that's one of our pillars. The fourth pillar is being liquidity. There's so often I sit down with people and they've got everything locked up, and that's not a good thing. They can't get to their money. We need to make sure that we have sufficient liquidity going into retirement and throughout retirement. And so that becomes the fourth pillar that we have, Jen.
So those are the main things that we'll focus on today: protection, growth potential, income, liquidity. When I go back to that visual of a structure that has 4 pillars in the front holding it up, I can visualize what happens if 1 or 2 of those pillars goes away. It's real easy to imagine it starting to topple and starting to sag. What kind of risks are you exposing yourself to if you don't have all 4 of these pillars in your retirement plan?
Well, Jen, it kind of depends on what pillar are you missing, right? So each of those pillars plays a very important and vital role in retirement. And so if we don't have one of them, that's the area that's going to suffer, right? So if we don't have growth potential, if we don't have that pillar in our retirement, then inflation could easily erode our retirement income, and we end up having to cut back our budget because we didn't grow our portfolio enough to keep up with inflation. What if it's income? You don't have income, in a situation where it's guaranteed and it's going to be there. Mailbox income where it's going to come in on a monthly basis. Well, if you don't have that, that's going to be problematic. If you don't have liquidity, and all of a sudden you have a big issue arise where liquidity becomes important, you have a big unknown expense. Well, everything you've got is locked up and illiquid. You have a problem. And then the last one, protection, right? If we don't have our assets protected from the elements of retirement that are out there, then that can cause us some problems. And so, the risk that we run by not having those 4 pillars in place could wipe out our retirement building. And that's not a good thing. Jen, that's why I felt it was really important that we developed our financial x-ray, because part of that problem is people either have too much growth potential or they don't have enough growth potential within their portfolio for retirement. Our financial x-ray measures that risk in a numerical format, and it measures it against our clients' risk and makes sure that we are in line with what they expect and what they can handle. Now, folks, if you're not sure how much risk is in your portfolio, I can't tell you how important it is. Most people I sit down and talk with, they don't realize the disconnect between their risk number and what the risk number is in their portfolio. And most of the time, 3/4 of the time or more, there is a disconnect and not a good disconnect. Schedule your time to come visit with us to get your financial x-ray. All you have to do is give us a call at 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815 to schedule your no obligation financial x-ray, where we'll dive in and determine the risk of your portfolio, the cost associated with running your portfolio, all those types of things. Give us a call at 863-285-3815.
Talking today with Philip Statler. He is with Statler Financial Services. I am Jen Rezac alongside that number one more time, 863-285-3815, as we talk about the basic pillars of all retirements: protection, growth potential, income, and liquidity. They're really different, Philip. These are really diverse goals. How does one plan, like your financial x-ray report, how does one plan address all of these very different things?
Well, let's go to the construction side of things, right? If I'm going to build a house, right, I need to make sure that the foundation is strong. I've got to make sure that the walls get put in place, that the footers are there, that the electrical gets run right. And so all of that's in one plan, right? One set of plans that we use to construct our home or our building or whatever we're going to build. We've got our set of plans. It's no different when we look at our retirement planning. We can encompass all of those different pillars within our process of building your retirement plan and making sure that every one of those pillars has a firm foundation to stand on and that it's going to do what it's supposed to do. I mean, think about it. What would your house look like if you didn't have a firm foundation? Or how good would your house work if you didn't have a roof? Especially, in summertime in Florida, you get rain all the time.
Right.
So retirement planning is no different. We're using those 4 pillars as the cornerstones to build our retirement plan on. And it's going to include income. It's going to include liquidity. It's going to include the potential for growth. And it's going to include protecting what we have.
Just so important to make sure that you have all of those things. So, Philip, as we talk about how we put all of these things together, is there a typical place you start when building a plan, when we're thinking about protection and growth and income and liquidity, or do you just start wherever someone is coming up a little bit short? How do you typically tackle this?
Well, we start with that financial x-ray because so what I want to know is, number one, I want to know, what does your risk tolerance look like? What is that number? What does it stand for to you? And then how does that compare to your current portfolio? Like I said earlier, 75% of the time, people have more risk in their portfolio than what they thought they did. And so we start with the risk side of things. I want to know what the growth potential is and what the protection looks like. Those are the two pillars that I look at first. And then from there, once we know that we can kind of have those two things solidified, then income becomes next, right? We need income. We can't retire and live out retirement without some kind of income. And so we make sure that we've created that income plan. After we determine what the risk is, we determine what the cost they're incurring to run that portfolio. The next step is to create that income plan to make sure they're going to have the income they need in retirement. There's no sense in retiring if you're not going to be able to enjoy life in retirement. So and that requires that we have some income, Jen. We got to have that income coming in,
right.
Or, we're just not going to be able to enjoy our life. And that's the thing that really becomes important. And so they all kind of work together. When we look at the plan as a whole, you got to start somewhere. And we start with the risk because that's where we find the biggest disconnect that we see out there when we sit down and talk with folks.
So let's talk about how we can get started if maybe we just aren't sure that we have an income plan. We've done some saving. We've built up some money into our 401k. We want to make sure that we actually have an income plan so it will last, or we're just not sure if things continue to be volatile and we have some big drops in the markets. We want to make sure that we're protected against those things. Philip, what's the way to get started here?
So it's really simple. To determine if you've got a plan or if you just have what I call a junk drawer full of products that may or may not serve you well, give us a call and let's start by really seeing where you are and how much risk you have in your portfolio. That's the first step. And to do that, all you have to do is give us a call at 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. It's a simple phone call, but it'll get you started down the right path to make sure that you are properly prepared for your retirement. Again, that number is 863-285-3815.
This is the Statler Financial Radio Show. We'll be back after this.
From the pitch, swung at a little too soon.
Strike three, you're out.
To the joke told at the wrong time. To barely missing your connecting flight.
This is the final boarding call for Flight 109 to Chicago.
Timing is everything. The same is true for your Social Security benefits. Take them too soon and you could leave a lot of money on the table. Take them too late and you might spend down too much of your savings. Everybody's situation can be different, but taking your Social Security benefits at the right time is important for your retirement success. Philip Statler at Statler Financial understands Social Security and can help you make decisions that are best for you and your retirement dreams. Call 863-285-3815 to start optimizing your benefits. With Social Security, timing is everything, so don't delay. Call Philip Statler at Statler Financial today. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Our firm offers insurance services and is not affiliated with the U.S. government. Advisory services offered through Statler Financial Services, Inc., a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Florida.
Thanks for joining us today. This is the Statler Financial Radio Show. I am Jen Rezac, happy to be here today with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services. Philip is the inaugural Highlander Award winner for Financial Representative of the Year. StatlerFinancial.com is the website if you'd like to learn a little bit more. They're also very active on social media, so if you're on Facebook, just do a search for Statler Financial Services. They'll pop right up. They're always posting videos and articles, lots of great resources there available on the Facebook page. Again, search for Statler Financial Services if you are on Facebook. I want you to visualize 4 pillars that are needed for a sturdy retirement. Matter of fact, think about the courthouse, the Highlands County Courthouse, with those 4 strong pillars up in front of that building. And for your retirement, we want to call those protection, growth potential, income, and liquidity. And if you knock one out, it can have an impact on your retirement. You can visualize the impact it would have on the courthouse if you took one of those pillars away. So, Philip, let's talk a little bit about the pillar of protection in your retirement plan. What all are we protecting our money from?
So there's a couple things that we're really working on protecting our money from. We're protecting our money from taxes, right? Taxes, people don't realize how much taxes can come in and erode our portfolio. Second, we have things like probate, right? You pass away and you don't have things protected properly. And all of a sudden, we're spending money on attorneys and probate costs and all those things. And then lastly, one of the other big things that I think of is market volatility. We want to make sure that we have sheltered a good bit of our portfolio from market volatility. And in that way, we can know that our portfolio is going to continue to go up and not down in value.
So those are some things that we want to think about. And I'm just going to pick some different risks that we want to protect from and get some thoughts from you on what we can do about it. Let's talk a little bit about paying too much in taxes in retirement. I feel like that's got to be something that can get overlooked because, Philip, so often we're focusing on the things that we want to do and what we want to spend our money on and what do we have in the budget. But I'm guessing we probably forget to include taxes in the budget. What do we do about that? How do we protect against overpaying in taxes?
You know, taxes are a funny animal, right? They a lot of times we don't see them, right? Because they take it out of our check, whether it's a paycheck or pension check, whatever, they take it out. We file our tax return. People are excited because they get a refund. And, well, I didn't pay anything in taxes. I got a refund. No, you still contributed, to the U.S. Treasury by just because you didn't get everything back that you paid in. But people don't think that as I paid in, right? They thought I got a refund. That's a good thing. The other thing I think is funny is back when, all I did was tax work. I would have clients that would call me and say, Philip, it's been a long time. I've enjoyed working with you, but I retired last year. And so I'm not going to have to do my taxes anymore. And that's just not true. Just because we retire doesn't mean that we're going to not have to pay taxes. And people have that disconnect. They think that just because they retired, they all of a sudden don't have to pay any taxes. I wish that was the case, but it's not.
Just not
true. So how do we protect ourselves from taxes? And what I believe is going to be an escalation of taxes over the next 4 to 10 years. So it does become a big deal. So how do we do it? Well, we have to look at different avenues that are more tax friendly. One of those is while tax rates are really low right now, Jen, is to start looking at Roth conversions and seeing how much sense those might make for you and your family. Because then we're taking money that's going to continue to grow and become taxable down the road. And we're going to convert it to a tax-free account where now we don't have to worry about the taxes because we already paid the tax on. Now we want it to grow as much as we can because it's all going to be tax-free growth. So there's different things that we can look at from the tax aspect, but it's definitely one of the things that will erode your savings if you're not careful.
All right. Yeah, definitely something that we want to take into account. It's definitely part of the financial x-ray report, what you can review and coming up with some steps to deal with it. Another concern that we might want to be protecting ourselves from, healthcare costs. That can cause us to go through our savings pretty quick, especially if there's an emergency or something we're just not prepared for. Philip, how do you help people prepare for healthcare costs in retirement?
So there's a couple things when it comes to healthcare costs that we like to help our clients walk through. The first is Medicare supplements, Advantage plans. That's when, hey, I hit 65, I'm on Medicare, I've got to get something to cover that 20% that Medicare doesn't pay. So we help our clients look at and determine which avenue they should go down, which one makes the most sense for them, whether it's a Medicare Advantage plan, whether it's a Medicare supplement plan. What do they need to do based on their circumstances to make sure that they're protected down the road? Then, so what's the next step, right? So that's everyday healthcare. The thing that nobody wants to have to deal with is long-term care. That's still within the realm of healthcare, right? And it can be expensive. I mean, I have a client now that, I look at her and she's not even in a nursing home. She's just in a specific lockdown unit, a memory care unit at an assisted living. And they're paying $5,000 to $6,000, $7,000 a month to keep her there. And so that becomes a big expense. So we look at what are all your options. If that does happen to you, and you end up in a nursing home or you end up in an expensive long-term care situation, what are your options? And we will look at those different options. We will look at the price tag associated with those different options and determine, no, I won't determine, I let the client say, okay, look, here's the options. Which one do you want to look at? Which one do you want to use for your long-term care planning? And so I help them walk through that. The choice is obviously ultimately going to be their choice. And so, but I help them have as much information as possible and help them make the best choice for them.
To go through that process, all you have to do is pick up the phone and give Philip and his team a call today. 863-285-3815 is how you get started having that conversation, looking at all of the different risks to your income, to your savings in retirement, and helping you figure out the best options for what you and your family need for your retirement. 863-285-3815 again is that number. That's 863-285-3815. Philip, I want to talk a little bit about the idea of growing our money as well, because that's going to be important for your retirement. It's one of those pillars. There is a possibility you'll need more money down the road in retirement as costs keep going up. Is there a way to potentially grow your money, but without having to worry too much about investments in the markets?
There is two things. One is, yes, there is. That's the simple answer, right? But here's what we look at. There needs to be both. I mean, we need to be protected from the downsides of the market to a certain degree, not 100%, but we need some area of protection. Now, I look at the rule of 100 as kind of a starting point, not a do-all, be-all guide to everything, but it is a launching point to determine what that allocation should look like. Folks that have not heard of the rule of 100, it's very simple. It's 100 minus your age. That's whatever that is what you want at risk. So if you're 70 years old, minus 100, then you want 30% exposed to some kind of market risk. Now, is that always the case? No. I tell people, look, I use plus or minus 10%. As kind of a rule of thumb. So somewhere between 40 and 20. But we need both. And there are avenues out there that we can get some protection in the marketplace and still get some growth, which is the key when we look at retirement planning, because we need both. Right. We need to be able to protect on the downside and get some growth on the upside. And so it takes both and they're both different pillars, right?
Right. And it takes both, but there has to be a balance because it's really easy to overdo it with one or the other. I think when it comes to growth and protection, how do you help someone find the right balance so they have the growth they need, but without overdoing it, or they have some of their money protected, but they don't have so much of it locked down that they're going to be lacking in other areas?
Well, that's a good point because I've seen both, right? I've seen folks that have 100% of their money sitting in a mutual fund stock portfolio, all exposed to market risk. And I have seen folks come in and except for their emergency money, everything is sitting in annuities, locked away, protected. Neither one of those situations work out well for the investor, for the retirement person. So that's where I think we start with that rule of 100 as kind of the jumping off point. We take that connected with our process of our financial x-ray to determine how much risk somebody can handle, both in terms of because of the size of their assets and income and just their sheer willingness to take some risk. Both of those things come into play, and we're able to measure both of those things when we determine what their risk number really needs to be. And so that to me is really kind of the starting point is, the rule of 100 plus what is our risk number? We take all of that and then we're able to build a portfolio and an income plan put into place that takes all those things into account. And when we take all those things into account, now we've got all four pillars holding up this retirement house so that you can have the retirement you always dreamed of. And that's the key. I want to see my clients enjoying life. I mean, that's why they worked so hard, was so that they could enjoy retirement, whether that's going to see the grandkids, whether that's taking the boat out and going fishing. It doesn't matter. We want to enjoy our retirement. And the way to do that is to know where you are. The only way to know where you are is by going through our process, using our financial x-ray to determine how much risk you have in your portfolio. Because I bet not many people really and truly know how much risk they have in their portfolio. I've got it documented, Jen. Mm-hmm. I know because I see the look on their face when they see their risk and the risk of their portfolio. To determine what your risk number needs to look like, give me a call, 863-285-3815. It's really simple. Give me a call at 863-285-3815. Let me walk you through our process to determine how much risk you can take and how much risk you are taking. Do it right now, 863-285-3815.
This is the Statler Financial Radio Show. We'll be back.
If you have a retirement plan and would like a second opinion, call Statler Financial Services today. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
You toss a penny over your shoulder into a fountain and you make a wish. You look into the fountain and see a lot of pennies, but you see some quarters too. You think, who throws quarters when pennies will do? Now think about the taxes you could be paying in retirement. Do you want to throw pennies or quarters to Uncle Sam? Philip Statler at Statler Financial knows that not planning for taxes in retirement can drain your savings. Taxes can be complicated, so start planning now so you aren't caught off guard in retirement. Call Philip at 863-285-3815. Together, you'll create a plan designed to help you keep as much of your money as possible. Watch your pennies and quarters in retirement. Tell Philip Statler at Statler Financial what your retirement wishes are. Call now, 863-285-3815. That number, 863-285-3815. Our firm offers insurance services and may not give tax advice. Advisory services offered through Statler Financial Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor firm in the state of Florida.
Thanks for joining us today. This is the Statler Financial Radio Show. I am Jen Rezac, happy to be here with Philip Statler. He's president and CEO of Statler Financial Services. StatlerFinancial.com is the website if you'd like to learn a little bit more. They're also active on Facebook, so if you're on there, just do a search for Statler Financial Services. They'll pop right up. They're always posting videos and articles. Lots of great resources available there on the Facebook page. Just search for Statler Financial Services. You need 4 pillars for a sturdy retirement. And as we talk about this, I want you to visualize a building with pillars in front. Think of the Highlands County Courthouse, for example, with those 4 stone solid pillars out front. And we want you to label them: protection, growth potential, income, and liquidity. And I want to talk about that income pillar here in this part of the show because this is a pretty big one, Philip. Without income, you really don't have retirement. So we really have to have this pillar to support our retirement. Talk a little bit about where most people get their income in retirement, because for some strange reason, when you leave your job, for whatever reason, they stop paying you. Don't know what that's all about. I don't know why it happens, but apparently it's true.
They don't keep sending you a check?
Apparently not.
Man.
Wouldn't that be great?
Have I been misguided all these years? I thought for sure you just kept getting a check.
I know, right? What have you been doing all this time?
So we have to have income in retirement. And the problem is, Jen, and I know in other shows we've talked about this, but income used to come from 3 different sources, right? We would have Social Security was a leg of a 3-legged stool, and that was supposed to be about 1/3 of your income. Then we would have a pension from the company store where they keep sending you money, even though you weren't working. Mm-hmm. And that was supposed to be about 1/3 of your income. And then you were responsible for saving enough money to create another 1/3. And so by doing that, you would have a great retirement, great income. Well, something happened. The pensions of the world kind of started dying off, and we don't have as many today. So our 3-legged stool kind of became a 2-legged stool. So now we can focus on Social Security as being one area of getting some income. And the rest of it is up to us to create some income. And so it's important. And that's why I think so much of the second part of our financial x-ray is developing that retirement income plan, because I don't see people having them. They don't have a retirement income plan. They're just I'm just going to take money off my investments. Well, really? Maybe that works out well for you, but maybe not. Are you sure that that's going to give you income for the rest of your life? And that becomes a problem, because it just takes a big dip in the market to wipe out some of your income. So it is important, so important that we believe people should have a retirement income plan put in place.
Let's talk a little bit about with some of that income that we have, Philip. Some of it will probably come from Social Security. I know that might not be true for those of us who are still some years away from retirement, but for those who are heading in there now, what do you do to make sure that you are maximizing those Social Security benefits and getting the most out of those?
So nobody knows exactly when's the best time to take their retirement, their Social Security. Mm-hmm. So often I hear people say, well, hey, I'm 62. I'm going to start turning on now because, the Social Security is going to run out of money. Yeah, Social Security is going to run out of money eventually. But for folks that are retiring now, I don't see that as a big problem. I think that they're going to provide for those people that are retired. It's the people that haven't retired yet, that are 10 years out from retirement. Those people maybe should be a little worried. Mm-hmm. But if you're 5 years out, less than 10 years out, I think you're okay for Social Security. But still, how do you determine when to take it, how to maximize it? And that's one of the things that we look at. We're going to sit down with you and determine what makes the most sense in terms of when you decide to turn on Social Security. Do you have terrible health in your family? And so maybe it makes sense to turn it on at 62. But maybe, you're healthy as a horse. Your parents lived to be 100. If you turn it on at 62, you're giving up a lot of dollars if you live to be 80, 85, 90. And so, we walk through that process with our clients to help them determine when's the best time to turn on that Social Security leg of their retirement plan.
And of course, if Social Security isn't going to be enough to live on, and it really probably won't for most of us, talk about the other options for creating lifetime income using part of our retirement savings. Because what we like about Social Security is that it's reliable, it's steady, it's going to be there as long as we're around. How do we set up something similar with the other money that we have for retirement?
So people don't like to think of Social Security this way, but Social Security is the ultimate life annuity, right? It's going to pay you out. You put money into the system for so many years, and now you turn it on, and it's going to pay you out to the day you die. That is what an annuity does. So, and pensions are kind of the same way, right? If you were fortunate enough to get a pension, the only difference is that maybe you didn't have to pay into it, but the company basically buys you an annuity that's going to pay you out the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So income is pretty much in retirement is pretty much always been created by using different types of annuities. We didn't call them annuities. We call them pensions. We call them Social Security. But if you look at how they work, that's what they are. Folks need to develop a plan, a retirement income plan. And the part that's going to produce the income, we want to make sure that it is going to systematically come in every month, no matter what happens in the stock market, no matter what happens in the economy. We want to make sure that that's going to be your mailbox money. It's going to be there month in and month out, no matter what. And so what we do is we'll take a portion, not all of it, we'll take a portion of our retirement portfolio, and we're going to put it into an annuity that's going to pay us out for your entire life. Now, is that a good thing? It's good because you're going to have the income. So for everything we do, there's pros and cons, right? So the pros are, you're not going to lose money. It's going to be there as long as you follow the contract. It's going to pay out the way it's supposed to. The downside is that we're giving up some liquidity. We can't walk in and say, I want all my money out of that now, because you're going to get penalized. So there's pros and cons to everything. And so we want to make sure that we're using the right tools to create the income we need. And that's really what we do through our financial x-ray. Give me a call. Let's see how you're lining up for your retirement income. Let me help you create the retirement income plan that will not only get you into retirement, but it's going to be there to provide throughout your whole retirement. Give me a call right now to schedule your appointment, 863-285-3815. It's simple to do. Come visit with me now, 863-285-3815.
Talking today with Philip Statler. He is with Statler Financial Services, and I am Jen Rezac alongside that number one more time, 863-285-3815. As we talk about the basic pillars of your retirement, we are visualizing the courthouse, the Highlands County Courthouse, with those 4 pillars out front. One more that I want to talk about is liquidity. And I feel like, Philip, sometimes this is one that we tend to not spend a lot of time on this show pretty regularly. We talk a lot about income planning, and we talk about investments and making sure we're ready for all these different areas and growth. We don't often talk about liquidity, though. Why is that such a key piece of our retirement plan?
Well, because liquidity comes into play in a couple different ways. So I'm going to look at this and kind of wrap my arms around 2 different things here. One is liquidity can be seen as the ability to just cash out and have money in my pocket when I need it. So liquidity could come from the stock market, right? There's liquidity within the stock market. It could be down, we could be losing money, but I could still cash in what I need and have liquidity to go spend. Mm-hmm. And so the other part of liquidity is an emergency fund, having money set aside for an emergency. And I want to separate those two, right? So to me, my opinion is an emergency fund is never going to make any money. It's there because if I need it, I can put my hands on it right now. So it's going to be in a savings account. It's going to be easy to get a hold of. And so we're not going to make hardly anything on that, but it's always going to be there when I need it. So I tell people, look, you should have between $20,000 and $50,000 in that emergency fund, depending upon what you feel and what you're comfortable with, but somewhere within those parameters. So liquidity, on the other hand, is money I can get my hands on. Remember earlier, we talked a little bit on shows. We always talk about, people being in nursing homes and what does that cost? Well, it costs a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So we need liquidity because that bill is going to get big and we need to be able to pay it. So we're going to need some liquidity to be able to pay that. So that's why liquidity becomes so important. We need to buy a car. It takes liquidity to do that. We're not going to do that out of our monthly income. So that's where having the right amount of liquidity really comes into play.
Right. And again, I think the key word there is the right amount, because you need to have something that you can access for those emergencies, like you were saying. But we don't want to have everything that we've saved for retirement liquid to where we can get to it and we're treating it like a giant ATM, because that's probably not going to be part of the recipe for success. I'm guessing your financial X-ray report isn't going to recommend all of our money in something liquid the whole time.
Yeah, no, it's not. Our income plan doesn't have a big ATM machine there to stick your card in and pull out what you want when you want. That's why we put together a plan, right? So that it provides the income we're going to need to do the things we want to do in retirement, but yet we've got another fund over here for that. I won't say emergency, but hey, I want to take the big trip in 3 or 4 years. Okay, it's here. I'm going to need a car in 4 years. Okay, it's here. Those type of things are liquidity events that we need to put our fingers on liquidity at that point in time. And that's why it's important that we have both and all of it there together. When we kind of wrap everything up together, and we have all 4 of those pillars, not one of those pillars is more important than the other. Just like no part of your house is more important than the other. The foundation is as important as the roof over your head. You need both to have a nice place to live. And you need all 4 of these pieces of the puzzle to create a retirement income plan, a retirement plan that's going to provide what you need throughout the time. Now, look, do you have a retirement income plan? Do you know how much risk is in your portfolio? If you called today and I said, what's the risk in your portfolio? Can you say, well, my risk is a 55 and my portfolio is right in line with that at 55? Probably not. Mm-hmm. Give me a call. Let's walk through that process. Let's make sure that the portfolio you have matches up and you don't have too much risk. In cases of market downturns, we don't want to have too much risk in our portfolio. Give me a call to schedule it right now. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
This is the Statler Financial Radio Show. We'll be back.
Call Philip Statler today to get started on your complimentary financial X-ray report. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
From the pitch, swung at a little too soon.
Strike 3, you're out.
To the joke told at the wrong time. To barely missing your connecting flight.
This is the final boarding call for Flight 109 to Chicago.
Timing is everything. The same is true for your Social Security benefits. Take them too soon and you could leave a lot of money on the table. Take them too late and you might spend down too much of your savings. Everybody's situation can be different, but taking your Social Security benefits at the right time is important for your retirement success. Philip Statler at Statler Financial understands Social Security and can help you make decisions that are best for you and your retirement dreams. Call 863-285-3815 to start optimizing your benefits. With Social Security, timing is everything, so don't delay. Call Philip Statler at Statler Financial today. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Our firm offers insurance services and is not affiliated with the U.S. government. Advisory services offered through Statler Financial Services, Inc., a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Florida.
Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show. I am Jen Rezac, happy to be here with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services, and he gets questions from people all the time as it relates to retirement. We wanted to find out some of those commonly asked retirement questions, so we went out and found out what people want to know about retirement, some of the questions that they have right now. We've got a bunch of different voices that we're going to hear from here on the show today. And Philip, our first question comes from Brent. I'll just let him ask the question.
I'm thinking about taking money out of my IRA to pay off some debt. I know that's not always the greatest idea. I think we can do okay without a penalty because Congress has passed some new laws after the pandemic. But how can we make sure we don't make a bad situation even worse?
That's a good question. You know, you need to weigh the pros and cons of that, right? And that's one of the things that we did help some of our clients last year weigh those options. Does it make sense to take money out of this account for whatever they needed to do? Because by taking money out of your IRA or your 401k, now you're taking away from your retirement. And sometimes it's better to maybe suffer now and be able to have the retirement you want down the road. And like I said, it's one of those things that we weigh out. And it's one of the reasons that we're so connected with other groups to stay educated. And that's one of the things I remember, like, I think it was like December 20th, sometime around in there, I got an email from Ed Slott saying, hey, deadline's approaching. If you have clients that want to take money out of 401k, they need to do it now. And so that keeps us up and abreast on what's happening because we get those updates whenever something critical is coming down the line.
Yeah, just another one of those things that shows you how much these things keep changing and how tough it is for the everyday person to stay on top of all this stuff. I mean, the everyday person, Philip, who's out there working or even in retirement, we're not getting those emails from Ed Slott reminding us of those things going on. That's why it helps to work with somebody like you who's able to stay up to date on all that stuff.
Absolutely. You know, those are the things. And we try to send out, emails addressing those things when they change or a video email explaining what those changes are. We try to keep our clients informed on what's happening.
Let's go to another one. We have a question here from Gary. This is our Man on the Street segment. We went out to find out some of the questions that people have about retirement. Here is what Gary wants to know.
I've been working for the same company now for about 40 years, and I'm hoping to retire in the next year or two. My original plan was to wait until I retire, take my 401k and do something with it then. But I'm wondering, should I be doing something with it now?
You know, that's a great question. And I'm going to say it depends, right? There's no yes or no answer until you dig a little deeper. And here's what needs to be kind of dug into is, within your current 401k, what are your options? What options do you have? And will those options meet your current needs getting ready to retire in a couple years? My experience has been that normally that's not the case. And that there's other tools that may help you more or better as you get that close to retirement. The other thing that you have to find out is, can you actually take the money out before you retire? Not all 401ks allow you to take money out prior to retirement. There's age restrictions, and a lot of them, you have to actually be retired before you take money out. But some of them do allow it. Some of them will allow it at 55. Some of them will allow it at 60. So that's the first thing is two things you have to look at. One is, what are your options and will they meet your needs? And two, are you allowed to, based on the document 401k?
Let's do one more. We have time for one more question here at our Man on the Street segment, going out, finding out some of those commonly asked retirement questions. Last one today comes from Harry, and I'll just let him ask the question.
I'm 67 years old. I just retired and I'm feeling good. I've got money in my 401k, money in some other investment accounts. I think I'm covered, but what should I be thinking about?
You know, Harry, That's a good question. As I listen to your question, one of the things that hit me right in the forehead was, I think I'm covered. Now here's the thing. I would rather you say, I'm certain I have my income taken care of, but I didn't hear that. And so that's what I think that needs to happen, is that there's a lot of things that can cause uncertainty. And just because you got a 401k and you have some other investment accounts, how are you going to take money out? What's the process going to be? What's it going to look like? Unfortunately, most people retire without an income plan. They have something in their head, or their brokers told them, hey, we're going to do this, this, and this, but they don't have a written retirement income plan. And that is what we do here at Statler Financial. We want to make sure that as we put together that income plan, that every year where your money is going to come from, and if you need a little extra, where it's going to come from. Not that, hey, we've got all these products out here, we have all these accounts out there, we're going to get you your money, and you have no idea where it's coming from. That's not good planning. That's not the way you want to retire. You want to have a true retirement income plan. And so I would encourage you to take some time and get one put together. It's simple. It's simple on my client's part. They just give me the information and we put it together. And then we hash it out to make sure it's going to really and truly meet their need. So listen, if you don't have an income plan, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, then you tell me, hey, I've got a financial plan. It's about 2 inches thick over here. That's not a retirement income plan. So what got you to retirement won't get you through retirement. You need to have a retirement income plan. Give us a call. Let us help you set one up, walk through, and keep coaching you through it throughout your retirement years. To do that, it's simple, folks. Just give us a call at 863-285-3815. It's 863-285-3815. Give us a call now. Get on our schedule. Let's sit down and let's get you on track for the retirement you always dreamed of. That number one more time, 863-285-3815.
You've been listening to the Statler Financial Radio Show. Make sure you remember that number we've shared throughout the show today, 863-285-3815. And be sure to tune in again next time for more insights from Philip. I'm Jen Rezac. Thanks for spending some time with us here today. We hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you next time.
Call Philip Statler today to get started on your complimentary financial x-ray report. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
Information provided during the Statler Financial Radio Show is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but their accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Individuals should thoroughly review the contract for specific details of the product features and costs. Income payments and withdrawals from deferred annuities are generally taxable as ordinary income in the year they are taken. All investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. No strategy is guaranteed to be successful.
This radio show is a paid placement.
From the pitch, swung at a little too soon.
Strike three, you're out.
To the joke told at the wrong time. To barely missing your connecting flight.
This is the final boarding call for Flight 109 to Chicago.
Timing is everything. The same is true for your Social Security benefits. Take them too soon and you can leave a lot of money on the table. Take them too late and you might spend down too much of your savings. Everybody's situation can be different, but taking your Social Security benefits at the right time is important for your retirement success. Philip Statler at Statler Financial understands Social Security and can help you make decisions that are best for you and your retirement dreams. Call 863-285-3815 to start optimizing your benefits. With Social Security, timing is everything, so don't delay. Call Philip Statler at Statler Financial today. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Our firm offers insurance services and is not affiliated with the U.S. government. Advisory services offered through Statler Financial Services, Inc., a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Florida.